which we've given back to the Virginia taxpayer. That's serious money, and the taxpayers want that. And when I am governor, I'm going to have a form that says, check here if you want to pay more in taxes. But my opponent needs to answer about Jay Jones.
Your time's up, Ms. Earl Sears. Ms. Spanberger, you've said that you'd like to get rid of the car tax. Will you make a commitment here tonight that you will make that a priority, and where do you intend to find the money for local governments every year if that tax is eliminated? You have 60 seconds.
The car tax is the most hated tax in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and in fact, that many years. My husband, Adam, who is here this evening, actually wrote a paper in high school about the hated car tax. And year after year, many people make promises about getting rid of the car tax, but without a plan to do it. Unfortunately, my opponent, when in the legislature, had the opportunity to lower the car tax by 10% and voted against it. Now, in the 4 years that she has been the lieutenant governor, she hasn't made the effort or endeavored to get rid of this tax. And in fact, I will work with anyone, to Democrats, Republicans, local and state officials, to finally get rid of this most dreaded tax. In fact, it requires significant planning and cooperation. But I have a history of getting rid of hated taxes during my time in Congress. I repealed with bipartisan support a unfair tax on firefighters, police, and public servants. I have gotten rid of a hated tax in the past by building a coalition, and I will do it again.
So, Ms. Spanberger, how would you come up with just over $3 billion to fund that car tax for local governments?
It requires bringing people together, Democrats and Republicans, to put any possible paths forward on the table. You are correct to that the loss of the car tax doesn't mean loss of funding to our public schools and to our first responders. And so in working together, we will work to not only repeal this tax, which of course also requires a constitutional amendment, but ensure our communities are funded.
Your time is up.
It doesn't require a constitutional amendment.
We're going to move on to the next topic.
Just a decision.
Deanna?
Thanks, Tom. Our next question is about the temperature and tone of political speech. The first example has been shaping the race for governor and attorney general for the past week. You both will have a chance for rebuttal. Democratic Attorney General nominee Jay Jones admits he sent text messages to a colleague referencing former Republican House Speaker Todd Gilbert. Here's what he wrote.
Jones. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Colleague. Jay, please stop. Jones. LOL, okay. I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Colleague. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jones. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Jay Jones has apologized and says he takes full responsibility for those messages. Ms. Spanberger, you have called the comments disgusting and said you condemn violence. The question for you tonight is, were you aware of these messages before they were released publicly, and will you continue to endorse Jay Jones as the next Attorney General of Virginia? You have 60 seconds.
The comments that Jay Jones made are absolutely abhorrent. I denounced them when I learned of them, and I will denounce them every opportunity I get. As a mother, as a public servant, as a candidate for governor, I denounce them. And it is important that candidates always denounce violence on no matter which side of the aisle. Violence, violent rhetoric, we should always be focused and forceful in our denouncement of it.
Are you going to tell him?
And importantly, my opponent unfortunately only denounces violence when her side is the target. I hope
like that,
into the future she will endeavor to denounce violent rhetoric and violence no matter who the victim. And tonight, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, I will say, you routinely refer to me as your enemy.
Ms. Earl Sears, just please give her a chance to respond.
You routinely refer to me as your enemy. I'm not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We are political opponents, and tonight voters are here to listen to
Today
the
you're
policy
saying that,
differences
but you
that
said
we
fuel
have.
your
Ms. Earl
rage.
So as
Please
we
give her a
move
chance.
forward, we
will both
must
have chance to
continue
respond.
to set a good example for all of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Bamberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these
When did you
text
know?
messages
And
for
what
many
did
years.
you do about
I
it?
learned
Please
of
give
these
her the
text
chance.
messages the day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of
She
them.
denounces murder.
And
Earl Sayers, please give her-
importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them,
You're running to be
presumably for
Ms. Earl Sayers,
political
please.
reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
Ms. Bamberger, I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about
Third time is
her
the
lieutenant
charm,
governor
Abigail.
nominee.
Ms. Earl
running
Sayers.
And it's
Ms. Earl
up to
Sayers.
every person to make their own decision. I am running my race to serve Virginia, and that is what I intend to do.
Thank you, Ms. Bamberger. We just want to clarify, what you're saying is that as of now, you still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General.
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words
That would
that
mean
I
she still
say,
endorses
for
him.
the acts that I take, for the policies that
Okay.
I have put out.
Thank you.
I am responsible for the policies I put out and the work I will endeavor to do tirelessly
You are
for the
responsible
people
Ms. Sayers.
of
Bamberger. Ms. Earl Sears, before we get to rebuttals, because we will get to rebuttals, we have a question for you. While there is no equivalency, this next example does speak to the divided nature of our country. During the Charlie Kirk Memorial, President Trump said, quote, "I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them." Is there a place for that kind of political speech? You have 60 seconds.
Well, I think as everybody knows, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian before I'm a Republican, and I'm required to forgive people. And it's hard sometimes when somebody has abused you, etc., but it's something you must do, because not to forgive is almost like, as someone said, you drink poison thinking that it's going to affect the other person. And I want to live a decent life, and I don't want to not have peace in my life. And so as I've said before, I would not say that. So that's why I'm wondering why my opponent won't say, beyond its abhorrent and disgusting, why she won't say it is not okay and that he must leave the race, because Jay Jones advocated the murder, Abigail, the murder of a man, a former speaker, as well as his children who were 2 and 5 years old. You have little girls. What would it take, him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail? You're running to be governor.
Ms. Earl Sears, I know you're saying that you would not personally say this, but do you think still that there is that place for that kind of rhetoric, the example that we gave, even coming from others? You have 30 seconds.
So I'm responsible for my behavior, and what I've just said, I wouldn't say that. I would not speak that way. Look, I'm from a third world country. I was born in Jamaica, and when I was 10 years old, I saw that kind of political violence, which is why I'm asking my opponent to please ask him to get out of the race. Have some political courage. What you have done is you are taking political calculations about your future as governor. Well, as governor, you have to make hard choices, and that means telling Jay Jones to leave the race. I have seen what it means when people are shot in the streets and thrown in the back of cars just for political purposes. I don't want to see that in America. America must never be that place, and Abigail needs to say something.
Ms. Earl Sears, you're out of time there. We do have one more follow-up question
Yes,
for you before we get to rebuttals. One more question for you. This is on the topic of endorsements. President Trump has endorsed the Republican incumbent Attorney General. Do you need Trump's endorsement to win the race in Virginia? You have 30 seconds.
So I will take all endorsements, including the president, and I am working very hard for the people of Virginia. I believe in lower taxes. The people want that. My opponent, unfortunately, she's already said she's going to raise taxes. She's going to raise energy rates. Well, she's already voted that way because, well, that's all she wants is solar and wind. Well, if you look outside, the sun isn't shining and the breeze isn't blowing. And then what, Abigail? What will you do? What will you do? You're smirking. And you know that the people of the Southwest have a lot of energy issues.
Ms. Earl Sears, we need to get to rebuttals. So, Ms. Bamberger, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I think in her response to the question that you asked, my opponent proved my point, which is when violent rhetoric comes from her side of the aisle, she refuses to denounce it. The statement that you read from President Donald Trump was violent rhetoric that she refuses to denounce, and this is why I say you are not
Earl Sears,
my enemy.
She has her 30
and I
seconds.
wish you would stop using language like that. But I am also glad that she began speaking about issues of affordability because as we are talking about issues of affordability, I am the only candidate on stage who's put forth a plan to actually lower costs for Virginians.
Ms. Earl Sears, now your turn for a rebuttal.
Yes.
You have 30 seconds.
So what Abigail has just said is a lie, that she's the only one who has affordability. Please go to SpambergerLies.com and check that out. I don't understand why you just can't come forward and say who needs to go. I mean, we're talking about murder. We're talking about someone's life being taken from them. Have you nothing to say about that? Are you not going to address it? Really, you can't go any further. You're a governor. You're supposed to stand up for all the people. Are you saying political murder is all right?
Ms. Bamberger, I want to give you a chance
I
to
have a
respond
rebuttal to that?
yes.
Once
You have 30
again,
seconds.
I have denounced political violence, political rhetoric, no matter who is leading the charge. When given the opportunity, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, you have not done the same.
No matter who is leading the
And
charge
so
on...
when all of us set a better example,
is not
here
here,
no
no
matter
matter water
who
fountain
is
took you
provided
to
the
say
comments
something
that
Abigail.
are
on, but it's difficult for us to hear.
She has
if
no
you're both
courage.
talk-
You
but it's-
cannot be governor. No courage.
The audience can't hear when you're talking over each other, so we just want to make sure
Excuse
that we
me, I
limit
was
that
not
so
talking
people
over
can
her.
hear.
She has no courage.
We're
Okay.
going to the next topic
Yes,
now.
we are moving on to the next topic with Tom on federal workers.
Thank you, Deanna. It's been more than a week since federal lawmakers allowed the government to shut down. With more than 150,000 government workers, Virginia is facing the brunt of the impact. So, Ms. Earl Sears, knowing its impact on Virginia, if you were governor now, would you ask the president to use his power to work with Democrats to reopen the government? You have 60 seconds.
So my opponent, all summer long, has been playing political football with federal workers by trying to say that she loves them more than anyone else. Well, let me tell you what love looks like. It looks like Abigail calling Senators Kaine and Warner and telling them, go back, do your job, and vote against the government shutdown. We only need eight Democratic senators. That's all we need. And we cannot find 8. And yet we can find 2 in Virginia. When are you going to publicly say to Senators Kaine and Warner, go and do your job and keep federal workers working? That's the way you stop the shutdown, because right now they're having to work, and especially our military, without any pay. I'm a United States Marine veteran, and it is definitely hard, especially in the enlisted ranks, to work without pay. You can do something about that. You're the one who's been talking about all that love. Well, show love,
Ms. Earl
keep
Sears.
them in their jobs.
Ms. Earl Sears, the question, though, that I'm looking for, the answer to is, would you ask the president, if you were governor, to use his power to work with Democrats to reopen the government? 15 seconds to clarify.
So The president has already said that he would do that, but you think it's in the Senate right now. Voted and it's in the Senate. And all we need for it to get to the president so the shutdown stops is 8 Senate Democrats. 8 Senate Democrats, and we cannot find any because they're playing political football, as you have been, Abigail, all this time. Love is a verb, it's a show me, it's a doing. Love is not a shutdown. When are you going to ask Senators Kanan to please keep federal workers working?
All right, we're going to go to Ms. Spanberger next on this one. Knowing the shutdown's impact on Virginia, if you were governor now, would you urge the 2 Democratic senators to vote to reopen the government until a deal can be worked out with Republicans? You have
I entered during the longest government shutdown in history, and 2 weeks into my time in Congress, I went to the White House. I sat down in the Situation Room with a group of Democrats and Republicans and President Trump, urging him to come to the table, urging him to make a deal. That is how we started the path towards ending the government shutdown, with leadership from the president. The current lieutenant governor of Virginia has not stood up for Virginia workers, because right now, at this moment, when Virginia's federal workforce and contractors and communities across the Commonwealth are suffering because of this government shutdown, it is only increasing the challenge that they are facing after months and months of the attacks from this White House under DOJ. The entirety of that time, my opponent has made light of federal workers losing their jobs, saying
I'd like a
it's not
rebuttal,
a
please.
big deal.
So just to
and
clarify,
that everyone loses their jobs.
Ms. Spanberger, time is up, but just to clarify then, you would not urge the 2 Democratic senators to work with Republicans to reopen the government?
To clarify, I would encourage everyone, our Democratic senators, our Democratic House members, our Republican House members, to work
This is her
together
first time
and
doing that.
drive
Ms. Earl
an
Sears,
effort
please. Thank you.
to
Continue.
come back to the table. Everyone from Virginia, the most impacted state in a time of shutdown, as our communities are suffering after months of DOJ and attacks on our federal
Your time's
workforce.
up, Ms. Spanberger.
Everyone in Virginia should be coming together and urging the president
time's up,
to
Ms.
reopen
Spanberger.
negotiations.
Continue and continue.
We are going to move on to the next topic, which is data centers, and my colleague
Am I
Deanna.
not going to get a rebuttal? She's attacked me. Am I not going to get a rebuttal?
I'll give you 15 seconds.
Thank you very much. So you've heard a lot of words from my opponent, and she's talked about DOJ, and you know, I'm the one who started a men's prison ministry. Of course I care about people. It was one of the best things I did. We've created over 265,000 jobs. I know what it's like to lose a job. How could I make light of it? But my opponent has cut and spliced my words so that it will
Time
look
is up.
like I did not
Ms.
care.
Earl Sears, time is up. Next topic, data centers with my colleague Deanna.
Thanks, Tom. So data centers are expanding across Virginia, increasing power demand and expected to raise energy bills even more for all Virginians. Ms. Spanberger, what is your plan to make sure data centers have the power they need and Virginians don't get stuck with the bill? You have 60 seconds.
Absolutely. So data centers are coming to Virginia, and many localities want to welcome them. And it's important that they pay their fair share. And as governor, I will ensure that data centers pay their fair share. But we have a challenge looking towards the future as it relates to of energy in the country. And that requires real leadership in contending
That's
with what
because
is
you support cutting
Ms. Earl Sears,
impending
you will have a chance.
an impending energy crisis. And unfortunately, as we see an impending energy crisis, my opponent has supported efforts from the Trump administration to take millions and millions of dollars of energy investments away from Virginia. This is all the while that energy costs continue to rise for Virginians. That is why in my affordability plan, I laid out plans to reduce the cost of energy here in the Commonwealth.
Ms. Spanberger, as a follow-up, you stated that data centers must pay their fair share. So what does that look like exactly to you? Are you committing that to Virginians not seeing more price hikes? You have 30 seconds.
Absolutely. So importantly, there is currently an SCC case moving forward. And so pending the results of that case as it moves forward, it may require action within the General Assembly to ensure that large utility users like data centers are paying their fair share for the energy that they consume. For anyone who wants to view the further plans that I have to reduce energy,
that you're not going
it
to
is
provide them.
at affordablevirginia.com.
Need energy.
Thank you, Ms. Bamberger. Ms. Earl Sears, what is your idea for offsetting the high costs of data centers, energy demands, and preventing additional rate hikes for Virginians? You have 60 seconds.
So the Virginia Clean Economy Act, when it was passed, every single Democrat voted for that. Every single one. And by the way, my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, has supported it. Well, let me tell you what it did. Speaking of no energy, it took 11,000 megawatts of power immediately off the grid, Abigail, without anything to substitute for it. And all you want, again, is wind and solar. Well, you know, it's that little thing called the technology revolution that's still happening. And it's that little thing called the, industrial revolution that's still happening. Businesses need power. What are you going to do about that? But let me tell you what we are doing. We have started in the Southwest a micro reactor program to see how we can bring energy to the Southwest and make it a regional energy hub, as a matter of fact.
Ms. Earl Sears, you're out of time, but I do want to follow up there. So the question was, what is your plan for offsetting those high costs of data centers, energy demands? What is your plan for making sure Virginians don't get stuck with the bill? So 30 seconds.
So what we need is an all of the above approach to energy. We need clean coal, we need oil, we need nuclear, we need natural gas, and we need, renewables. My opponent's own plan is solar and wind. Well, what happens when the sun goes down? There is nothing.
Ms. Earl Sears, we do need to move on to the next question.
All right, thank you, Deanna. We have a question tonight from a Norfolk State University student. Let's listen.
Young people are leaving Virginia for more affordable housing and better job opportunities. What initiatives or policies would you implement to make Virginia a more attractive place for young professionals to live, work, and build their future?
Ms. Earl Sears, we'll start with you. How do you respond to the students' economic concerns?
Yes, so what we have done in Virginia, what we're continuing to do, is we're bringing jobs here because we want our children who are born here, raised here, we want them to stay here. And we want them to do very well because we want them to create generational wealth. A good education will do that. But when the education happens, they also need the jobs. And I don't know if you've been seeing, but we have created over 15,000 new business startups. Never existed until we came into office. New business, high-paying startups. And then we have created, as I've said before, over 265,000 jobs. And we have another 225,000 job openings right now. And, with the governor out in Charlottesville, where Afton Scientific announced 200 more jobs.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Spanberger, what economic policies or initiatives would you implement to make Virginia an attractive place for young professionals to live, work, and build their futures? You have 60 seconds.
Importantly, I want to thank the students of Norfolk State for welcoming us to this campus, to the faculty and the administration. Thank you for hosting this incredible event here. And the young woman raised an incredibly important point, which is we attract people to our universities from across the country, and we should want, and I do, and as governor, I will want to ensure that when they graduate, they will stay in Virginia to start a business, to start a family, and to start their career. The challenges, though, that she mentioned are housing costs and affordability issues. In fact, during the time that the lieutenant governor has been in office, the cost of buying a house has gone up 18%. The cost % increase even just this last year, the third highest in the whole country. And my opponent frequently talks about job creation. Virginia has had 7 months this year of rising unemployment. The challenges are real, and Virginians need someone who will put Virginia first.
Unemployment numbers are.
Okay, we had a very spirited debate thus far. Excuse me, Ms. Sears. We've had a very spirited debate thus far, and now we're going to shift gears and my colleague Deanna will take it from here.
Yes, we want to see where maybe there's some shared common ground. Ms. Spanberger, what quality or qualities of your opponent do you admire? You have 30 seconds.
I admire her faith that she puts into action through her time at the prison ministry that she frequently talks about, and I admire her service to our country, particularly as someone who chose to be an American and chose to serve. I think those are admirable traits, and frankly, what makes our country and our Commonwealth a special place, that people the world over come to our country to become Americans, to serve in the military and in elected office.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. A handshake. Well, Ms. Earl Sears, with that, what quality or qualities of your opponent do you admire? You have 30 seconds.
Yes, from what I've seen, I believe that she is a devoted mom. I truly believe that. And that she is a daughter who loves her parents very much. And I do believe that she cares.
Thank you, Ms. Earl Sears. Well, we have many more topics up for debate tonight, including transgender issues and reproductive rights. We will be back after this quick break.
Friday night, a young mother taken in broad daylight. The real 911 calls as they happen.
I just got home from work and my wife, I can't find her.
From an eyewitness.
There's a kid in the back seat screaming. Do you have any idea that a mom is missing? No. And you're witnessing a kidnapping.
And the most shocking call of all.
911.
Life on the line. Only 2020, Friday at 9 Central on ABC.
I'm Abigail Spanberger, candidate for governor, and I sponsored this ad.
MAGA Republican Winsome Earl Sears. Sears speaks for Trump.
I'm supporting what the president is doing.
She backs Trump's billionaire tax breaks.
The bill, as you know now, does so many great things.
And Sears wants to ban abortion in Virginia, too.
We know abortion is wicked.
Heard enough? Winsome Earl Sears. So far right, she's wrong for Virginia.
Hey, Richmond, Mark Smith, Midas Richmond. I want to start with thank you. We are having a monster year, and you're the reason why we are. You choose us for car care. You choose us for community care. It's a full circle. It goes both ways. All 6 of our stores are doing really great this year. The communities we service are doing really great, too. That's thanks to you. Total car care, total community care. That is the Midas of Richmond promise. That's my promise to you. You want to chat? 804-240-1066.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs roll into Vegas, where the field of 8 look to cash in for a chance at a title.
Oh, yeah. Make contact.
That could be the playoff difference.
Lay your cards on the table. It's showtime in Vegas.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs this Saturday from Las Vegas at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on the CW.
As we welcome you back, a hot topic in Virginia's schools, and for this question, you will both have a chance for rebuttal. Ms. Spanberger, we're going to start with you. Focusing on a K-12 school system, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools, and nothing is more important to me than their safety and their experience in schools. I'm also a former federal agent, and I work to investigate crimes against children. And so nothing is more important to me than the safety of all of our children. And that work, in part, has earned me the endorsement of Virginia's Police Benevolent Association.
Ms. Earl Sears, Ms. Spanberger is talking. Please let her
On
finish.
issues related to what's happening in our schools and each individual community, I think it's important that we have parents and teachers and administrators making decisions about their individual schools, not politicians. And if we are talking about the safety of our children, I would ask why my opponent continues to support efforts to defund public safety, an effort carried on continually by this
Ms.
administration.
Spanberger, once again, the question was, Should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams in K through 12? You have 15 seconds to clarify.
In cases across Virginia, I think it's incumbent upon parents and educators and administrators in each local community to
Nude
make
men in
decisions
locker rooms.
locally.
That's what this is about.
Ms. Earl Sears?
There should never be
We're gonna get
nude
to you in a
men
moment.
Oh
in
my
locker
goodness, we
rooms.
finally have her saying that, but you voted for that.
Ms. Earl
Have
Sears.
you finally
My opponent
Ms. Earl
said
Sears,
that?
you are
Ms.
just
lying.
intruding on
Are
time
we in
here. We're
agreement
trying.
now? Are you
Ms.
going
Earl
to
Sears,
tell?
this is Ms. Spanberger's time. I have a follow-up question for Ms. Spanberger. Would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 30 seconds.
My priority would be to ensure that local communities, importantly parents and teachers,
That's a yes or
educators,
no.
are able to work together to meet the unique needs of each school and each community.
But girls
And that
need
is
privacy.
important. And I say that as a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools.
Exactly.
And as someone who used to investigate crimes against children. The way that we keep our children safe is by ensuring they are safe in schools, which includes funding law enforcement and public safety.
But Ms.
at its
Spanberger, the question was, would you rescind